because we save these meetings for members that maybe couldn't attend in person, but usually these things are good opportunity to both network and be informed of what's going on. So we always want to make sure that our membership is up to speed, even if they can't be here. So hello, everyone. Welcome to our December 2021 Klamath Film member meeting. These meetings are held on the first Thursday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m. Normally we do them in person, usually over at the Falls Tap House over by Oregon Tech. However, the weather is starting to turn, and I don't really want to be outside when it's sub-zero freezing. So for the next couple months, we'll be doing these over Zoom. And then when the weather gets a little bit nicer in the spring, we'll go back to meeting in person. Everyone can get their beer and barbecue and sit back and relax and enjoy. These meetings are intended as an opportunity to network with other filmmakers, actors, and film fans in the region, as well as hear about upcoming events or job opportunities with film productions, things that are happening. Our organization, Klamath Film, is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we've been around for about 12 years. We serve essentially as a networking hub. We are the official film liaison office for Klamath County. So our role is to help out with any film productions that may be happening in any way. In fact, today, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, was the world premiere of one of 5 films that has been shot in Klamath County this year alone. We were credited in that for helping out with a lot of the pre-production work. So if people need help with location scouting or casting calls, crew help, equipment, we have a vast collection of professional film equipment that's readily available to check out. And if you are an active paying member, that's completely free. Some people on this call have checked some things out in the past, including myself. I use a lot of it for some of my projects too. So that's a great resource to have readily available. And if there's anything that we can do to help out with productions, don't hesitate to let us know. We also have an education component to what we do. Every year we teach a film camp for middle school and high school kids. We've talked about possibly doing some workshops as well, maybe single day or multi-day workshops, perhaps in the summer. Earlier this year, I also taught a drone camp at Oregon Tech. Yeah, there's various opportunities that we're involved with that. We do special screenings throughout the year, and our biggest event every year is always the Klamath Independent Film Festival. This year was our 9th annual Klamath Independent Film Festival, and it is the only film festival around that exclusively shows films made in Oregon. So we showed 37 films across 3 days, and all of them were shot in Oregon. And it was a fantastic time. I'll talk a little bit more about that tonight. We are not going to have a featured guest tonight. Normally, we bring in someone each month from the film industry to come in and talk about their side for a very casual Q&A. But I wanted to do kind of a recap of the year that we've had, talk a little bit about what we have planned for 2022, and show a couple of short films that may be of interest to people. But first off, we always start off these meetings with introductions. Most everyone here knows each other, but we do have a couple of new faces. So hello, if I didn't say it before, I'm Kurt Lidke. I am the executive director of Klamath Film. From Eugene originally, I worked in Hollywood for 12 years before I moved to Southern Oregon, working in music, film, social media, and video games. I'm a commercial drone pilot as well as a private pilot and a filmmaker. Currently, I am the videographer for Klamath Community College as well. So I spend my day, if I'm not filming, I'm editing. So that most of my time, and some of you are either KCC students or KCC staff and know that I'm usually tucked away in my office working on some new video for KCC. So that's me. Court, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Court Tannick. I'm the vice chair of Klamath Film. I started out, I'm from LA originally, and I started out working in music for films. And eventually opened my own business as a scientific and technical filmmaker for about 5 years. Then I went into research. I was an astronomer at Cal Berkeley until almost 2010. Now I'm retired. I live here. I do some teaching at KCC. Making a few films of my own that I've always wanted to make. I'm just getting around to, and here to help all you guys make your movies. That's it.
Fantastic. I should also say happy holidays to however people choose to celebrate. Over my shoulder is our Festivus pole prominently displayed throughout the month of December. Festivus for the rest of us. Evan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Evan. I recently became a member at the end of November of the film club, so that's pretty cool. I've always been interested in film. I took a video production class back in high school, but it wasn't really helpful because high school, and now I'm taking a video production class here at KCC with Darren Woosley, I think his name is. Yeah, I've taken that online, learning some stuff. I recently got a camera for that class, other stuff. And I'm working on my final right now for the class. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for signing up. Thank you for being a member, and thank you for being here. And if there's anything that we can do to help with your film, please don't hesitate to reach out, okay? And
Yeah.
Joyce, why don't you introduce yourself?
I
Great.
missed what's this film about?
Oh, yeah. Wait, Evan, do you want to explain your film a little bit more?
So on YouTube, there's like these bunch of videos where people make like 3 a.m. challenges. It's like, don't do this at 3 a.m. where scary stuff will happen. Those are meant to be true, and those are like fairly obvious to not be true. But I was gonna make a parody on like those types of videos, but make it like more horrific. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So are you looking for like horror, like blood and guts makeup, or
Comedy?
or
I'm looking
more of a comedic approach to it, or what?
I'm looking for more horror.
Okay,
Yeah.
terrific.
So you're actually going to film original scenes, or you're going to use clips from YouTube or other sources?
Oh, Evan froze on us for a second. Well, oh,
It's like the
Evan?
Matrix.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Sorry, wait, Evan, you froze up on us for a minute there. Wayne was asking if you were going to shoot original scenes for this, or if you're just going to use like stock footage and cut ups from YouTube clips.
I was gonna shoot original scenes.
Terrific. Well, I'm hope to hear more about your project as it develops. Joyce, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Joyce Dickens. I'm a recently elected member of the Klamath Film Board of Directors. Thank you. I have been in Klamath Falls for 2.5 years, a native Californian. I'm an
We
independent.
won't hold that against you.
Excuse me?
I said, we're not going to hold that against you.
Oh, thank you. I
Inside joke,
appreciate
because I
that.
was born in California myself. So.
I've met so many people up here that came from California, so
Yeah.
I'm quite
Yeah.
comfortable here. I'm an independent photographer and artist, acrylic artist, a member of the Klamath Art Association, and I love it up here. I'm thrilled to be a part of Klamath Film and look forward to the year ahead. I can't wait to hear what's in store for us all.
Terrific. Well, Joyce, thank you for being here. You're almost always at our meetings and appreciate your presence. Bowen, why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
So hello, everyone. My name is Bowen Browder. I am also a very recently elected board member to Klamath Film. I am from Klamath Falls, native here my whole life. I'm also a graduate of Oregon Tech, where I'm actually also working right now as an admissions officer or admissions counselor. This is actually my office. I would call myself an aspiring actor. I've been a performer of various kinds for my whole life, whether it was in dancing or being an instrumentalist in jazz music or classical or anything like that. I've always loved performing and being out on stage or just being an entertainer. So that's why I've always really liked being part of Klamath Film, so that I can connect with other people who are into filmmaking and that sort of performance and that creativity. So I'm always open to seeing who I can learn from, who I can interact with and network, so that I can develop my skills as an actor.
Terrific. So if any, we actually have multiple actors on this call. So Evan, if you need actors for your film and your peers are saying, stop bugging me, I've got my own things to deal with. We have multiple people that are always interested in being a part of projects. Okay.
Nice.
Jason, welcome. This is your first meeting. Why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Jason Schrantz. I've been in Klamath Falls for about maybe 3 months. Late August, we moved here. I used to teach up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and so now I'm teaching.
Marquette.
What's that?
I lived in Marquette.
Oh yeah, I lived in Marquette for about 5 years. I did.
Or not Marquette, excuse me, Clei Sawyer, south of Marquette. My bad.
Oh, it's
yeah,
Sawyer, yeah. So you know that airport in Sawyer? The Gwynn Airport, Sawyer. I think it's called Sawyer Airport. I used to work at the hotel right next to that the night shift. But anyway, yeah, I teach English at Klamath Community College. Native of Michigan, but I did my PhD out in the University of Rhode Island, so I've lived out there for about 6 years. I teach film, I teach literature, and I did my PhD was in literature and media studies. And I'm also a musician. I have some experience with writing screenplays or working with screenplays and trying to shop them out a little bit. My wife's a photographer, and so we, kind of bounce back art forms a little bit. I'm really, one thing I love and one thing kind of drew me to this group is I love film. I love teaching film. I think about it more from like an analysis and cultural sort of perspective, but I also am just really driven by community engagement and the education aspect and working with young people and giving them things to do, valuable things to do and creative outlets, which is a really serious passion of mine. So.
And you're not the only one locally from the UP. Since you're new in town, one of the professors at Oregon Tech that works with Bowen, as well as her partner, who is the assistant librarian for the downtown library, are both from the UP. And they do awesome adult board game nights a couple nights a month, downtown library on first and third Tuesdays. If people love playing board games with 30 and 40 somethings, having like really intense, like laid back tabletop games, and having like a really intense match of like Guess Who.
Oh yeah. I love board games. I play board games all the time, and I'm at the library a lot, and I always see it advertised. So I've been thinking about getting down there. What's the person's name?
It's super fun. Yeah, and the Knack who runs that is from the UP.
Okay.
And I try to go once or twice a month to that whenever possible. So it's a definite to do that I highly recommend around here. It's always a good group.
All right, thank you. I'll look into that.
Yeah. Wayne, why don't you introduce yourself, sir? Oh, okay. Well, then we will come back to you. Riley, hello, Riley. Thank you for being here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Riley Wilson. I been doing videos and stuff like that. Interested in movies since high school. Last few years, I've been working at Nick Alexander Films. Nick couldn't make it tonight, so he asked me to come.
Fantastic. And Nick, up until just recently, was also one of our board members and is a very active local filmmaker who does a ton of commercial work. And last year, he won our award for Best Feature Film at the Klamath Independent Film Festival for a documentary he made called Illegal. So thank you, Riley, for being here. We appreciate it. Riley, did you work on Illegal along with Nick?
He was finishing it up as he hired me. So no.
I was going to say, so you missed out on those trips to Central America to film. That would have been fun.
Yeah, I just missed them.
Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you again, sir. Jeffrey came to our meeting last month, and you've actually worked on quite a few extensive projects. So, you want to introduce yourself and talk about some of the work that you've done?
Sure. Yeah, I was in LA for about 20 years. That's where I did most of my work. I'm a filmmaker, a writer and director. I'm a producer out of necessity, as I couldn't ever convince anyone to produce my movies. But silver lining is it makes it easier to get your movies made if you figure out that side of things. Yeah, I came to Klamath Falls because I wanted to write my next screenplay someplace that was quiet and match the kind of environment where I wanted my story to take place. And I just fell in love with Klamath, and I had my baby here with my wife. And yeah, so now we're setting out to make the next one and join the group. Yeah, mostly because people kept mentioning it to me, saying, why haven't you checked out these people? I was, I don't know. I always feel like nobody wouldn't care, would want me in their group or whatever. But yeah, I just joined I was really taken with the warmth of the group and the genuine love for cinema, as it's, everything to me, as I'm sure it is for all of you. And yeah, so I'm here to stay, and thank you for having me.
Do you want to talk about some of the past films that you've worked on, or some of the past projects, or? No?
Yeah, I'm always a bit shy talking about my. Well, my first film's called Mermaid Down. It was originally a little bit more of an art film and a horror movie. It got picked up by Sony, and then chopped up to the point where 45 minutes was taken out. Still hurts.
It happens, unfortunately. It's
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about because I'm still proud of the film because I made it for $85,000. It was I've never blurred out the number to brag because it's such a low number. I figure it's okay to say. But I'm proud that we got it made, and all the special effects were all practical. There was no CGI, and and every time I came up against a producer who would say, you can't sink a boat in the ocean, and you can't shoot on a commercial fishing boat out in the ocean and pull a mermaid up and chop her tail off. And I just said, no, I can do this. I've got this worked out. And I tell you, if I had $50 to make that movie, I still would have made it. And so I'm proud of getting that thing done. And we got it into Walmart, and it opened up theatrically all over the world. And yeah, it was a big accomplishment, even though yeah, I'm not so proud of the way it looks all chopped up, because it's just all that's left is the wall-to-wall violence now. So there's all the story was kind of ripped out. But
well, that's why they have director's cut versions of films, right?
Yeah, the rights come back to me in about 8 years, so we'll see. Right now, about maybe yeah. It seems like about 25% of the people who see it love it, and the 75% hate it. So I don't know if there's much demand for a director's cut, but we'll see. But that's what the next one's for, is to have some creative control and try and make the film that I want to make, and for better or worse, make it as artistic and as singular to what I want to do as I possibly. I'm just going to go full blown pretentious with this one and really do what I want to do, and yeah, probably make a fool out of myself, even worse than the last time. But I'm so excited about it. We'll see.
Terrific. Well, if there is anything that we can do to assist, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. If you need additional crew, cast, equipment, location scouting, whatever you may need, we're here to help. We don't have to delve into war stories too much, but one of my favorite things about the film industry is that the streets of Los Angeles are paved with the crushed hopes and dreams of the young and naive.
That's right.
And anyone who has spent any time in the film industry in Hollywood
Yeah.
has those stories to confirm that
Brutal.
indeed,
Brutal. Yeah.
it can be rather cutthroat. So,
I'm also here too, if I can be of help to anyone. I mean, I don't know how, but I certainly have good connections. And if anyone was interested in how to get a film distributed and work with sales agencies, how to create your deliverable package for producing, for the distributors, things like that, I'm happy to, be a resource for anyone, just for that kind of information.
well, what's great about this group is that anytime there is a project, we tend to get very collaborative. So
Yeah,
a lot of people end up working on each other's projects. And when there's a big project that comes through, like say, for example, in 2018, when the feature film Phoenix, Oregon was shot here, just about every single member ended up being an extra or a part of the crew in some capacity.
Right.
Even if you'd never held a boom mic before, you were holding a boom mic.
Yeah. I mean, that's great though. That's the spirit of independent filmmaking. I love that. That's one of the problems with LA. I had a large crew. I mean, I had for a low budget film, is about 40 people on set at all times. But because it was Los Angeles, there was also this kind of like, oh, I'm just doing this to get my IMDb credit, and I'm going to work on the big. Everyone sort of comes to it with this ego and this is just, no one's really coming to it with that appreciation for the fact that we actually get to do this and how exciting that is. And I love being that. I made a film in San Francisco too, and everyone loved being there. And I'm finding now, like especially with Klamath Film, it's really nice to get back to that sense of at least surrounding myself, or trying to surround myself with people who actually are like, yeah, this is awesome. That are actually happy to do it, and I don't know, get giddy about it.
Can't hear you, Kurt.
Kurt, your sound is off.
Sorry, I tried to switch over to loop back and it wasn't working right. A lot of the commercial work pays for the creative work. So like Riley here can speak to just how freakishly busy Nick and his crew have been over the past year of shooting all sorts of commercials and mini documentaries around town. It's kind of inhibiting Nick from being able to do his passion projects because he has so many clientele these days. And he's even asked me to chip in a little bit. So I'm sure Riley, and I can talk to Nick too, if there's ever a need for an additional hand with some experience, Nick can probably find something for you to do. They do a lot of weddings, they do a lot of commercial work. And there's always a demand for that around town.
Cool.
I don't know, Riley, anything you want to add to that?
No. I mean, I just like to, work on more film stuff too, besides what I do for Nick.
Yeah. And then Art, who needed to toss a tennis ball and is now hiding behind a drawer for us. But good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us, sir. Sorry it's not in person, but it was going to be a little bit chilly if we did this at the Tap House. Next couple of months will just be online. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it is not my computer. So Art Belsky, I'm here. So I'll keep it simple.
Well, Art,
thank you for having the meeting and continuing the efforts of the group.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Art has been a long time member, one of our actually founding members back in 2012, I think it was, or maybe even earlier than that, when the organization was first getting started up, and he's been a long time supporter. And then on that same note, Wayne over here has also been a long time member of our group, and up until just recently was a board member. So Wayne, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Wayne. Wayne Sweat. I always introduce myself as an actor, which is my first love, but I also have produced and directed help with casting and wardrobe and lighting and sound and every other darn thing. It seems like makeup. I haven't done the Grizzly stuff, but no special effects makeup. And next year, 2022, is starting to size up like 2020 looked at at the very beginning. First week of 2020, I was attached to 6 different projects, feature films, shorts, what have you. And then right after that is 7th, and then the COVID hit, and about everything stopped. I finished one short that we'd started the previous year, and then everything else just went by the wayside. It all stopped. It was just heart-wrenching. But now things are picking up again. I've got attached to 2 shorts that both have parts written for me. People asked if I'd be interested. And, one of them, God, and the other, Frankenstein. So how's that for diversity? And then yeah, for those, well, I guess not everybody was here. We lost Art.
No,
Oh, no,
our Art's
you
still
moved.
with us.
Okay, yeah, the pictures moved. But
Someone needs to throw the tennis ball, though. So
joining it from a different location in the kitchen tonight. And tonight I had a Zoom meeting with a young up-and-coming director. This gal had been a film student over at SOU, and now she's in the director's class at UCLA. And we're doing a scene, a project for her class over COVID and all that. It's actually will work just fine in this instance because we're doing a scene from the movie Wild, and I'm going to play the boyfriend of Cheryl Strayed, or I'm sorry, I don't recall her name.
Strayed.
But the principal. Pardon?
Strayed.
Okay. But nonetheless, we're doing a phone conversation. So, and in the scene, the character I'm playing is in the kitchen preparing for a young 20-something-year-old companion, and Cheryl checking in from out on the road. She's wanting some mail sent to her, but nonetheless, I'd set up the scene and the camera and the lighting, although I didn't wear these clothes for the meeting last night, had it all ready for the shoot. And we're going to redo this thing this next week. And at that time, we'll have the female character also doing her part. And then we'll have a couple of the professors from the college viewing what's going on and then grading this work. One of the professors is a director and another a producer, and apparently multiple award winning. And I'm pretty excited about this. As I mentioned earlier, I've been in 4 different projects with SOU students. It's led to, or I've worked with 4 different SOU students. It's led to 6 different projects with them. You know, I'm hoping to increase my network to maybe some UCLA up and coming great directors. And it's always, again, it's those other 2 shorts, those are local shorts, but it's nice to have people writing a part for me. And I don't mind auditioning at all. I've done that many times. It's always good practice, but I find it flattering when somebody reaches out to me, and like message I got on Facebook, somebody over in Ashland, who's also won a number of awards, but nothing really big. But nonetheless, hey, would you be interested in such and such? So things are going, but again, although acting is my first love, and it's one thing I always wanted to do, I am also producer, director, and done all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, if somebody needs help on a project, feel free to reach out to me. With that, I'll let go.
And we were going to show a film that Wayne and a few of our other members made earlier this year that was up for consideration for our film festival this year. It didn't make it in, so we wanted to still have a showcase for it. We're probably going to save that till January's meeting. So we'll show a film called Report 72 that Wayne stars in sometime soon, probably at next month's meeting. So we can look forward to that. Well, I have a whole line of things to announce and stuff to go over tonight. That's why we don't have a featured guest. But before we do anything, I want to always provide an opportunity for networking, for opportunities for people to detail any projects they may be working on, or if they are in search of something to help with a project, or if they just have something that they want to talk about. This is an open forum to discuss, even if there's just a recent film that you saw that you want to bring up. This is an open forum and a chance to talk with fellow film fans on a local level about the film industry.
One thing I'll go back up again, since we have some filmmakers, is most of the acting that I've done in front of a camera, whether feature films, short student films, what have you, commercials, the majority of them by far have been over in Medford, Grants Pass, Ashland, and in those surrounding areas. I've made some stuff here in Klamath, but majority of the stuff I've done, I've been cast by other people over the hill. But with that said, I've got a pretty fair-sized network of creatives, both cast and crew. And if somebody gets in a bind, I might be able to help and recommend somebody. Right. If you need actors and you don't have an actor here, I might know somebody somewhere else that might want to come out and play.
Wayne, is the director that's going to UCLA now, that's an SOU grad, is that Hannah Lilly that you're working with?
No, I know her name, but no.
Okay. We showcased over the last couple of years with the film festival a ton of SOU student films. We're closely affiliated with Andrew Gay, who runs the SOU digital cinema program. He does a wonderful job with that program, has helped us with our film camps that we teach each summer. And they always provide some really provocative films for us to show. One of them won second place for Best Southern Short at this year's KIF, for those who were there. Hannah Lilly is now down in LA and working in the film industry and possibly going to school. She made the film White Whale, which just barely missed out on being our Best Southern Short winner. If you get a chance to see it, check it out. It is fantastic. I think it's on Vimeo or YouTube, maybe, but absolutely incredible student film made by SOUs. Highly recommend White Whale if you get a chance. Jeffrey, I think you had something that you were trying to say and everyone kind of spoke at once.
Yeah. That's usually when I talk, right when everybody else is. Wayne, I was going to ask you if you had any kind of demo reel of your acting.
That's a good question. I've had a manager in LA request one more than once, and I have not ever done that.
I've got
a bunch. I've got stuff that you can watch online to get an idea. One of my films that I was in recently is a feature. It's on Amazon called One Step Ahead, and I play a very important role in that. That was made over in Medford and surrounding areas. Not a big budget by any stretch. I mean, that made your 85,000 is a big budget compared to that.
Really? Yeah.
It's a neat story. And, it's some really good elements about it. Particularly one actor. I had a casting director that I know tell me, "You will be me."
Well, and Jeffrey also, Bowen there has been very interested in building his resume of acting opportunities. So if there is a project that you're looking for, I'm sure Bowen would happily participate in whatever capacity he could, right? Not to speak for you, Bowen, but I know that's exactly where you were going with it.
I was kind of going there. My big question that I was curious about learning is how would one go about developing a demo reel?
Developing what?
Just
That's a good-
developing a demo reel as an actor. I assume it's pretty
Oh,
self-explanatory, or like
clips of
obvious,
stuff
of just,
that's in it.
Yeah.
of just, act in various projects and have enough. But I was wondering if there was any particular strategy behind it of like highlighting your best moments in whatever part you play or anything like
Yes.
that. I just wanted to learn more about the process.
Yeah, clips. I mean, Wayne said it. It's what you feel is your best clips from anything you've done, and don't be reluctant to put something together if the budget is really low, or even if it's shot on an iPhone with no lighting. I mean, just something, because directors and casting directors, they're looking at you. They're not looking at production value at all. They're just looking to see if you've got that thing that they're looking for. So if you're not in anything at all, you can still put together a demo reel just by filming yourself in different locations, and doing even if you did a scene from a movie, as long as it's not too well known.
But things like monologues or,
Yeah,
so
sure.
that's interesting. So something that isn't too well known, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, it's just an idea that I've seen people do that works. I mean, I've hired actors based off of things like that. They hadn't done anything before, but they did a couple scenes from different films, that just weren't. Yeah, just don't do again something that's.
And
Don't do Star Wars,
I assume something like that is because everybody's seen it already.
Yeah, well, you're going to be compared to Harrison Ford or something, and you don't want that.
Top-notch actors. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you want
something a little bit
it to
smaller.
be so that nobody is comparing it. They don't even know really that you're just doing something from a film, because just something that can show what you can do, and that way you have a little bit more. I mean, it's a good alternative if you're not in anything, because you can find something that you think you could do, that isn't too well known, something that doesn't have to be super obscure.
What about things like Shakespeare monologues or soliloquies?
Of course, Shakespeare's fantastic. I mean, because Shakespeare's so bloody hard, it really does show. But it'd be great to, if I did Shakespeare as an actor, I would also then showcase something that where I was just very naturalistically, asking a girl out on a date or something, something so that you had both, something in sort of a relatable world, as well as a that highly stylized and rhythmic way of talking.
Bowen, think of a demo reel kind of like a cover letter to a resume. It's you're not doing like half an hour of content. It's little bite-sized bits and pieces of a quick demonstration of some of your skills and so some of your abilities as an introduction to whoever may be casting or directing, to get a sense of what kind of skills you might be able to present, and then they can kind of get in touch and learn a little bit more about you. It's a short, quick snippet introduction.
So then that also means, kind of similar to cover letters, you want to tailor it specifically to the role. So maybe you want to adjust what clips you include that are maybe more applicable to whatever role you are trying to audition for.
Yeah,
right?
that's actually, that's usually not done. I mean, demo reel is kind of a fixed thing, and usually it'll be 3 or 4 different, and like Kurt said, it's very short, just enough to give a taste. What you look like, what your voice sounds like. Are you any good? Do you have any chops? And people can tell. I'm sure you've seen bad actors. You can tell they're bad in 2 seconds. And a good actor doesn't have to. A good actor can order a Coke at a counter, and it sounds like they're not acting. I mean, it's like, and then boom, all right, I want that person to audition. It should be just those little bits. And actually, the more brief you keep it, keeping to what Kurt is saying, the better, because you also don't want to exhaust the casting director or the director, because they'll get annoyed.
Yeah. So there are some announcements and some things to go through, but is there anything else that people want to discuss before we delve into our official business for tonight?
I will bring up something I'm kind of happy about. Okay, I'm working on a film. It's a short science film for NASA on solar astronomy. So it's a documentary piece. But I decided to do something different with it. So so on the soundtrack, I'm writing original soundtrack, and it's mostly blues music.
Mhm.
I had a blues guitarist named Ray Bailey, who's very popular in LA. He works quite a bit. He's got 4 or 5 albums. And he's gonna play on the soundtrack. Looks like Jerry Goodman's gonna come in on the soundtrack, played with Mahavishnu Orchestra and the Flock and Dixie Dregs and all of that. And today I got Kirsten Sanford. She's known as Dr. Kiki. She's super popular in the Bay Area. I don't know if people know her much here, even though she's based in Portland. She's pretty famous neuroscientist, does a lot with public education of science, and she's going to narrate the film. So it's turning into this, it's an Oregon film, even though I mean, a lot of the solar astronomy stuff has to be shot in Denver and Big Bear Solar Observatory, but the narrator, the musicians, everybody lives here, so it's kind of an Oregon film.
Well, and our criteria, just a FYI for everybody, for submissions for the annual Klamath Independent Film Festival, which submissions start February 1st. February 1st through June 1st is when we accept film submissions. Either the filmmaker has to be an Oregon resident, or the film has to be largely shot in Oregon. It doesn't have to be an exclusive, but if the film was, if it's could be considered an Oregon film, or the filmmaker is from Oregon, then it qualifies. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. This has been a lively conversation. I appreciate it. We do have some news to go through, so let me bounce to it, unless there's something else that people want to mention real quick. Gone? No? Okay. Oh yeah, Bowen.
I just wanted to say I'm very, very excited for the premiere of the Spider-Man movie. Just one thing, I'm super excited. If you have followed the movie at all, there's probably some big things that are going to happen, and if they are, it's probably going to make my year. But
okay.
Anyway,
I just saw the Ghostbusters movie the other day, and yeah. yeah. As someone who grew up with the Ghostbusters films and the animated cartoon shows, it was a little bit of a letdown. But
you said that, Kurt. I've been thinking about like introducing my kids to the whole Ghostbusters franchise with the anticipation that we would culminate with going to the theater to see this one. I mean, I just love the way they casted it with is it the kid from Stranger Things, right?
I mean, yeah, the cast is great. What I don't like is that the epicness that you get from the first 2 films of this grand, I mean, basically the entire film basically happens on a farm.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have that grand epic feel that the 80s films have. Yeah. The scale is missing. It's a great kids film, and I'm sure your kid would probably love it. It's just, if you grew up with the original Ghostbusters film,
right,
loving that. I even pulled out my old laser disc of the original the night before I went to the theater, just to kind of get that true like 80s vibe, get in the spirit of things. And yeah.
I'm always like debating as my kids are 9 and my 2 older kids are 9 and 11, and I'm always debating like which franchise are we going to start next. So we've gone through the Star Wars, and I was going back and forth. Do we do Back to the Future or Ghostbusters next? Which like 80s campy films can we watch? But so maybe we should do Back to the Future.
And there's also a bunch of great new films that are now out and available on streaming services. I highly recommend, if you're a music fan and love documentaries, HBO has a series called Music Box. They did a film this summer about Woodstock 99, and they just released a new version about Alanis Morissette, specifically her album Jagged Little Pill. It is fantastic. If you love 90s music, go check out Music Box. Also, Apple TV has some really cool documentaries right now as well. I highly recommend the film The Beastie Boys Story. If you're a fan, you will become a super fan after watching that documentary. It's directed by Spike Jonze. It's basically a culmination. It's a live presentation of the surviving members telling their story matched with archival video and photos. And it's fantastic. So if you get Apple TV, big thumbs up from me on that. Highly recommend. So anyway, on to some news, and that is we have some new board members. So over here, Mark Newport, I know if you're looking at gallery view, it's going to be kind of small, but if you open up to the speaker view, you'll be able to see this stuff much better. So Mark Newport is a professor at Oregon Tech. Bowen is right below me, and then Joyce is next to Bowen, and over here is George Tyson. These are our 4 new board members for Klamath Film. Bowen and Joyce were both elected to 1-year terms. Every year we hold elections with our active membership. And the idea is that if you have ideas, if you have questions, if you have concerns, and for some reason you feel like you can't come talk to me or you can't come talk to someone else, Bowen and Joyce are supposed to be our representations of our active membership. So these are people that you can go talk to about what's going on. They're going to be fully a part of all of our board meetings. They're going to help out with the direction of our organization. They're people that you can go talk to, and they're going to serve 1-year terms, while George and Mark are on 3-year terms. We are losing some people because our bylaws state that after 3 years as a board member, you have to take at least 1 year off. So our secretary, Joelle Harris, who recently moved to Eugene and is now in grad school at the University of Oregon, she will be leaving at the end of this month. And our board chairman, Curtis Peoples, his term is up. Curtis is back and forth between Klamath and Texas, where he runs a music archive for Texas Tech University, and he also helps out with Oregon Tech. He has to step away for a year. So Court is going to be stepping in as our new board chair. Yay, thank you, Court.
Yay. Great.
Today was also a rather monumental day for Klamath. We have never had, even amidst COVID, we've never had the amount of interest in film production as we have had in 2021. We have had 5 films shot in the Klamath Basin this year, which is unprecedented for us. And one of those 5 films that was shot earlier this year made its world premiere today. So if you have Discovery Plus streaming, or if you want to sign up for a free trial and watch the film and then cancel, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you can do that. There's a new film called The Great Balloon Bomb Invasion. It's a documentary about the Japanese World War II balloon bombs that were sent over via the jet stream. And for those who don't know, 6 people died about 45 miles east of Klamath in a little town called Bly. We're having a picnic right at the end of World War II. And they were the only people to die on US mainland soil during World War II directly attributed to the war. And so this film is about several scientists and historians getting together to talk about the history of it, how that all came together. And then they also use modern tech to try to map out potential areas in Eastern Oregon where some of these bombs may still be unexploded. Because some of these, even in the last couple of years, some of these have been discovered in the wild of unexploded massive bombs and incendiary bombs that are very, very deadly. So thousands of these balloon bombs were sent over during World War II, and most of them are totally unaccounted for. So I won't spoil what happens, but if you get a chance, go on Discovery Plus and check out The Great Balloon Bomb Invasion. Klamath Film everything's mirrored, so it's backwards. Okay, so here's the end credits. It's super tiny, you probably can't read it, but it does thank Klamath Film and myself because they filmed extensively at Klamath County Museum, as well as out in Bly, and we helped with lining up some of the people that they interviewed for the film. We helped out with some equipment. We helped out with a lot of research and digging through old newspaper archives, some of which they use in the film. So give it a chance. It's one of 5 films that has been shot in Klamath County this year. So The Great Balloon Bomb Invasion, as of today, now streaming on Discovery Plus. We also have some upcoming events. The Holiday Classic, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, is going to be showing at the Raglan. So if you want to go check that out on the big screen in theater, December 8th, they're going to be doing that. For those of you who are new in town, the Snowflake Festival is officially underway. It is the largest and longest Christmas festival in the entire state of Oregon. And so their big piece of that is they have a massive parade downtown, and that's happening Thursday, December 9th. I'll be out there filming that, not only for KCC, but also for KOTI television. Dress warm. It's usually pretty cold, but it's a fun time. And for those who are vinyl collectors like myself, if you love analog music, we have in the last couple of months some very awesome people. Jimmy and Sarah Turner moved to town just recently. Jimmy is a former stand-up comedian, and they opened a record store in town, Retro Room Records. If you haven't been there, highly recommend. It's a cool place to go, just hang out. Even if you don't collect vinyl, I collect vinyl. I've sold Jimmy a lot of my collection, actually. It's now up on the walls and in the expensive sections. They're doing a concert this Sunday with J.R. Richards, who's the lead singer of the band Dishwalla. If you remember, they had a couple of huge hits in the mid-90s. So they're doing a private concert this Sunday, but if you're a member of Retro Room, you can get in for that. And Jimmy is starting to book stand-up comics. So that later this month, Kabir Singh, who is, you may not know the name, but you know the voice because he does a lot of voice acting for television. He's going to be coming here and performing at the Raglan. So stand-up comics. Jimmy's even going to do a short set, and there's going to be another opener as well. So there's some cool things upcoming in town if you want to check those out. Last night was the official kickoff of the Snowflake Festival. I know because that is my live stream that I did of the tree lighting ceremony at Klamath Commons Park. That's now up on the Klamath Falls Downtown Association Facebook page if you want to recap. It was only like 10-15 minutes of live streaming with Mayor Carol Westfall, and Santa Claus showed up, and about 100 people in the park hanging out to kick off the holidays. I wanted to show a quick little video that I actually made for that. Indulge me with some of my filmmaking skills to get everyone kind of in the holiday spirit. I made a little film as an intro to our live stream that I thought I would show because whenever possible, we like to show projects that people in Klamath Film have completed in these meetings. So if you want to switch to speaker view, and if everyone could mute themselves, it should kick in with me as the big screen, and then you can check out the video that I will go to real quick. It's only about 2.5 minutes long. So if you don't want to see my work, this would be a great time to go grab a beer or take a bathroom break. So here is a short little video that I made about the Snowflake Festival and Christmas time in Klamath Falls. Come on. Hang on, I was just informed no one is hearing the audio.
I'm here.
I can hear it.
Okay. Zoom has recently done some updates, and before you had to have an additional program called Loopback in order to have audio carry over, and I think now you can do it without Loopback. So that's why my audio got messed up before. I was trying to swap over. Sorry about that. We'll get back to the video.
Hear it.
Okay, so that is a short little video that I made
Great.
for Klamath Falls Downtown Association and the Snowflake Festival.
Did you
That's
do all
great.
the editing?
To kind of get it, it's a compilation of things because I used to be the multimedia journalist for the Herald and News. And so I've filmed a lot of snowflake related events over the years. So it's largely just compilation of different videos that I had made of gingerbread competitions or parades or whatnot, or just drone footage that I shot. But
Did you edit all of it?
yes, yeah.
Yes, very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Was that a message from Jason Bays at the very end?
Oh, we'll get to that in just a second. It automatically clicked over to my next slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an example of some of the work that I do. Largely what I do is either commercial work, or these days I do a lot of coverage for KCC. Of course, that's my day job. I also do all of the trailers for Klamath Film. So if you saw some of the stuff that we did for last year's film festival or upcoming events, that's usually me either filming or doing all of the editing for that stuff. So I have also taught editing and film. So if we've talked a little bit about maybe doing like some single day workshops or maybe multi-day workshops at some point for people who want to pick up some general skills. And that's something that we may look at 2022 and get more people actively filming and editing. I say it's a lot like weightlifting, right? You can't just film one thing and expect that you're going to be, you can't pick up a weight once and be like, okay, I'm good. It's got to be getting in those reps every day of building up your skills. I'm self-taught as an editor. I don't want anyone to see the early projects that I worked on, but it's very important that I put in that work, repeatedly making, honestly, a lot of Oregon Ducks football highlight videos from games I've recorded, to teach myself the editing process and learning that the big key is music and audio first, and then cut to audio. So you may have noticed everything was on the downbeats in the music. That's very intentional, and a lot of filmmakers do that. So anyway, that was my short film that I recently worked on. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, Kurt, that was excellent. It's not easy to capture the spirit of something, or to really imbue something that you put together with just the emotional intent of the filmmaker, and you were able to do that with this. It definitely filled me with the Christmas spirit. So it's incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad no one hated it. So with that, there's actually a lot of stuff happening right now. Wayne alluded to it. Let me pull this up. This was, so in addition to our Klamath Film website and our main page, we also have a Facebook group called Filming in Klamath. And I wanted to bring this to people's attention. Jason, I've not spoken to Jason about this directly, but he recently posted that he is working on several short film projects and is looking for cast members. So this post is on our Filming in Klamath Facebook group. If you're not a member, please join that. And you can see he has a couple of different projects that he's working on. One is a knife fight. Another is a murder house. And then he's making kind of a virus short film. You'd have to talk to him about more details for this, but I wanted to at least bring it to people's attention that there is someone who is looking for actors or potential crew to work on short little passion projects. Cool? Okay. We also have jobs available in town. Now I know basically everyone's hiring right now, but KOTI, which is our NBC affiliate here in Klamath, they are connected with KOBI in Medford. KOTI is currently without any staff whatsoever. Lyle Ahrens, who was the longtime local reporter, retired, and their salesperson left KOTI and actually joined KCC. We have kind of a running theme there. So they are actively looking to hire an office coordinator, a sales manager, a on-camera reporter, as well as someone with tech engineering support. So if this is something that is in your field, or someone who is interested, there is a TV station that is currently mothballed here in Klamath, and they are actively trying to find some people here available. That's why next week I'm going to be filming the Snowflake Festival parade, not just for KCC's floats, but also helping out the television station. So if you know of anyone, they're actively looking. Yeah, Bowen, you're muted.
Is there a way to like get more information on the positions?
Yeah, just go to the KOBI website, and they have them posted. I think it's buried a little bit, but it is on. I think it's kobi.tv or kobi.com, something like that.
I see kobi5.com.
Yeah. So quick little Google search, and those positions will come up. I need to talk to the KCC Career Center as well and make sure that these jobs get posted. So opportunities to work in film. News can get a little hectic because there's always deadlines. You have to flip footage fast, but that also keeps things interesting. I did a lot of multimedia journalism before I stepped into Klamath Film and KCC. So it can be interesting work, and it's full-time jobs. So just an FYI to everybody. Additionally, we've been talking off and on with the Oregon Film Office. Earlier this year, we put a historic marker up in Klamath, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And there's an organization tied in with the Oregon Film Trail called Set Jetters. The Oregon Film Trail is the first of its kind in this country. Across the state of Oregon, working with the Travel Oregon office, they've been promoting film tourism by setting up historic markers all over the state in places where famous films were shot. So think of Made in Oregon Films, National Lampoon's Animal House, The Goonies, Kindergarten Cop, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, stuff like that. There's historic markers where those films were shot. And Set Jetters works with them to put up QR code stickers on all of these markers so that you can go out and tag yourself. And they actually have augmented reality set up in the app where you can like insert yourself in the scenes and whatnot. So our historic marker is out front of the Daily Bagel on Main Street downtown. So if you want to give that a try, our marker, I'll talk about it a little bit later, is in honor of the film Phoenix, Oregon. They just recently were in town. I was not able to meet with them because of work obligations, but Court did get a chance to sit down with them as well as some of our local tourism people. Court, do you want to explain a little bit more about Set Jetters after you had a chance to meet with them?
Yeah, it was great. One of the things that I did promise them I would do is mention to the membership, they're trying to collect as much information about films shot in our region as possible to add to their database. So, and it doesn't matter whether they were big studio films or independents or what have you. So if anybody can think of a film that was shot maybe in the area they live or their neighborhood or this thing or that thing, doesn't have to be recent. It could have been in 1973. But let us know. I mean, you can email either of us. They just want to collect that together and try to find scenes from that location so that they can match up with their augmented reality. And it's a great benefit to the region because it's all about film tourism and enhancing people's visits to our area and inducing more people to come visit our area because they say, hey, Homeward Bound was shot in Shevlin. I'd like to, see that place and take a picture next to the waterfall or something.
Yeah, they're really trying to tie it into tourism, which benefits local economy. It's right out in front of the bagel shop downtown, which there's a specific reason why it's there. In 2018, we had a film shot in Klamath, and those of you who are regulars will already know this story, but for our new folks, I'll share it. 2018, well, actually, I'll back up to 2016 when a filmmaker named Gary Lundgren out in Ashland made a film called Black Road, and that got shown at our 2016 Klamath Independent Film Festival. And while they were here showcasing that film, they met some locals who were interested in producing a film. And Gary had already had a script in mind. He was already working on a film. He wanted to base it in the Medford area, but he couldn't find the right place for it because it's set in a bowling alley and it needs to be kind of run down and just couldn't find the right location. And it worked out where we had a bowling alley here in Klamath that worked out just right. And the producers were here in Klamath, and everything came together so that in 2018, we shot this film. It stars Lisa Edelstein, James LeGros, and Jesse Borrego. You may not know those names offhand, but they're all actors that you see the face like, oh, it's that guy who was in that thing, and 100 other things on top of that. All tremendous actors with IMDb's that are a mile long. Wonderful time making that film. Just about everyone in Klamath Film was an extra in some capacity or worked on the crew for it. And the kicker of all of it is that the film, they took it on the road, literally on the road in an RV, driving cross country, taking it to film festivals to try to sign a distribution deal. And they did sign a distribution deal for the film to be released to theaters nationally in March of 2020. The week that every theater in the country was shut down was their release week. Now it's commonplace with all of the streaming services where films are in theaters and this exact same time. Certain films are ending up on Netflix or HBO Max or something like that. But at the start of the pandemic, no one was doing that. But Gary and Annie decided that they would do that, and they sold about $3,000 worth of tickets in their opening week. Because of that, they were the only film in the entire country to register box office numbers. As a result, Phoenix, Oregon, by default, was the #1 movie in America. So the #1 movie in America for 1 week is also the lowest grossing #1 film in history, was an independent film shot in Klamath Falls, Oregon, because of the flukiest of circumstances that their film would be released to theaters the week that every theater in the country was shut down. Because of that tremendous story, we got a historic marker here in town. We worked earlier this year and late last year with the Oregon Film Office and Travel Oregon to get a historic marker placed downtown in front of the Daily Bagel where a lot of the scenes for the film were shot. And so there's a black marker out there that has a QR sticker on it that you can go and scan with your phone to get more details about Phoenix, Oregon, made in 2018 in Klamath Falls. Very briefly, the #1 movie in America. So with that segues really well into the next question associated with set jetters. Court mentioned it briefly of if you know films. Offhand, let's do a poll of any guesses. And some of you may know this because I've mentioned it in past meetings. Anyone know how many feature films have been shot in Klamath County from the silent film era to present day? Any guesses on how many feature films have been shot locally? Throw out a number.
I have to recuse myself because I went through the entire list last night.
24.
I was in a feature film called Acid that
Yeah.
2 scenes were actually filmed in Klamath County. I don't know if that was counted amongst that list or not.
It was not, but that's good. That's a good one to add to the list for
That's on my list.
24.
Well,
Oh,
actually,
why not?
the official number is 11.
Oh,
Going back to the silent film era, the first one being a silent film that's actually lost and no longer exists, called The Stolen Pie. Unfortunately, around 90% of all silent films ever made are gone. Either the nitrate film is decayed or they were burned, thrown away, whatnot. So that film is gone. However, we are coming up very soon on the 100th anniversary of a Rin Tin Tin film that was shot in Klamath. And I was actually talking last night with Mayor Westfall about us possibly doing a 100th anniversary screening at some point of that film, because it does still exist. The Klamath County Museum has done a screening in the past of the ice flood, and that's one that we may readdress. Wild was largely shot in Ashland and in our area, and that's thanks to a film producer that grew up here locally named Bergen Swanson, who is actually a Klamath Film member. We've mentioned quite a bit. He's produced over 40 films. Most recently, he actually currently, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, is working with Zack Snyder on his next film right now. He was the executive producer of the Tom Hanks biopic for Mr. Rogers, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. He worked on Widows and Shame and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Wild, and just a bunch of great films. So check out Bergen, super nice guy. And he grew up here locally, went to Mazama, and he and his dad ran a bicycle shop kind kind of downtown called the Yankee Peddler, and there's still a sign out for it. So if you're heading in the general vicinity of the fairgrounds, like you're driving down towards Mazama, there'll be a boarded up shop off to the right that you can still see a white, red, white, and blue sign that says Yankee Peddler, and that was the bike shop that Bergen and his dad ran. And then he went from repairing bicycles to producing movies, and now has worked on over 40 major studio films. So one of our locals that's done well. So anyway, those are the official 11 features, but I think there's actually a 12th. Sonic the Hedgehog had about a 2-second shot, which, maybe Acid is more of a qualifier here, Wayne, than Sonic. But the scene that's covering up my face right there is a B-roll shot of the Klamath County, Siskiyou County border of a truck driving by that technically was shot in Klamath County that's in the film Sonic the Hedgehog. I mentioned that because my buddy Patrick Casey, who was one of our featured guests last year, was the co-writer of Sonic the Hedgehog. Super nice guy. He's come on actually for a couple of our events. He joined us for our film camp this past summer to talk to the kids. Great guy. And he's currently wrapping up Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and working on Ace Ventura 3. I met Patrick when he and I were both video game testers for Insomniac Games many years ago. If people know the Ratchet and Clank game series on PlayStation, I worked on a bunch of those games. So anyway, I think Sonic the Hedgehog qualifies because I think it's kind of cool that they have a shot here. Patrick's told me, probably that was just shot up in Vancouver where they're doing the rest of the filming, and just like the B-roll team went out and put up a sign. I'm like, no, that looks too much like Klamath County to not be Klamath County. So I'm going to say 12th film. We have a 2-second shot in Klamath County that's in the film Sonic the Hedgehog. So if you're a fan of that film, that film we're going to claim as a Klamath County film. We had an incredible 2021, and December is as good of a time as any to do a quick little recap. We'll see how quick it is of the stuff that we got accomplished this year. And then to take a look at what we're doing going into the future. So first of all, January, OMPA, which is the statewide, remind me what the acronym stands for. I think it's Oregon Media Producers Association, something like that. So they had a big showcase and award ceremony that we took part in January. In February was a super busy month. You can see there's a photo there of us dedicating our historic marker on the Oregon Film Trail. Next to me is Barry Hanscom, who owns the bowling alley on South 6th Street where the film was largely shot. We did that same day, we live streamed our historic marker unveiling. We had the executive director of Oregon Film join us virtually, Tim Williams. We showed the film at the Ross Ragland, and then we had a cast reunion. We brought in some of the actors and the director who had made the film and had a fantastic time talking to these big name, incredible actors who just gushed about what a fun time they had filming in Klamath and how much they'd love to come back and make another film here. So that's always wonderful when we can have people who have been there, done that in many projects say what a great positive experience it was filming here. We also did a showcase of, for a while, we were doing a showcase where we were taking films that we had selected for the previous year's film festival and re-showing some of our favorites in person, some of the short films, then bringing on the director for a Q&A. So the first one we did was Karaoke People with Jen Tate. We did that in February. In March, we showed the film Way to Go as part of our screening series. That is a documentary that's available to see on YouTube. It's a documentary about a composting toilet on top of Mount Shasta and the people who seasonally maintain it, and what it's like to try to maintain a toilet for hikers and skiers 10,000 feet at a 10,000 foot elevation. It's a very funny short film. And in fact, won our Best Southern Short at our 2020 Film Festival. And for those who know, we do custom awards for all of our winners. So our winner for her film Way to Go won a giant wooden toilet, outhouse was her trophy with a little plaque on it. So way to go. And she says, that is the best conversation starter everywhere. The filmmakers will always have plaques or little glass tchotchkes from various festivals that they were in. No one has a giant wooden outhouse, but I do. So Catherine is very, very proud of that award. Our guest that month for our member meetings was my buddy Max Seamers, who I've known since he was in college. He's now a major film producer down in LA. He largely works with Netflix. He's done a series of films, and it's kind of small to see, but he just recently had a film come out on Amazon Prime called Spontaneous. He has a film called Body Cam. His most successful films are the To All the Boys I've Loved Before film series on Netflix. He's been the producer of those. So he was our guest to talk about what it's like to produce a film. And we also had a film called Killing the Klamath that the Klamath tribes produced in partnership with OPB that came out that month, made it its world premiere, that it was shot here locally. In April, we were very busy helping out. We had 2 films come to town and shoot the exact same week. So that week was kind of crazy. We had a short film called Matterhorn shoot at David's Diner and Everybody's Vintage and a couple other downtown locations, as well as out on Dead Indian Road. And then down south of us in kind of the Tule Lake area, we had a film crew comprised of college students down in LA that were working collectively on their senior thesis film called This Is Their Land. And it's a short about the Modoc Wars of the 1870s. So we helped out with location scouting and equipment and all sorts of stuff on both of those film projects. That was very fun. We got a fluke snowstorm the first night that both of these films started shooting. And so both film sets were trying to scramble and figure out, okay, what scenes can we shoot when both were intended to be outside shoots, and we suddenly have this snowstorm at the end of April. The other thing that we did that month, we had Jesse Borrego join us as our guest, who was a fantastic guest. He is an iconic Latin actor who was in Phoenix, Oregon, and he agreed to join us for a further talk. But he's been in over 40 films, tons of TV shows, going back to the early 80s. He rose to fame on the TV show Fame. Him and Janet Jackson were on that show together. He's been in films like Mi Vida Loca. He was in Con Air. He's been on the show Dexter. He's been on tons and tons of stuff. So that was a super fun conversation to hear about acting from a master. And then we did our Oscar shorts. So every year, right before the Academy Awards, we do a showcase, usually at the Ross Raglan, sometimes at the Pelican, of Oscar-nominated short films, live films and animated films. It usually takes about 3 hours to show all of the shorts. This year, we did a Oscars trivia competition and gave away mini trophies to people in the crowd, and just had an absolute blast with that. We don't have a set date yet, but the Oscars in 2022 are going to be March 27th. So sometime in March, you'll be hearing more about a showcase of all of the Oscar nominated films once they announce the nominated films, where and when we'll be doing that. So it's a fun time. Come check it out. And what's great about that is, everyone gets to see the big blockbuster films, but unless something ends up on Netflix or Amazon Prime, no one gets to see the short films. And so this is really your only opportunity to check those out. In May, our featured guest was Darian Gibson, who is the executive director of SAG Indie, which was a really fun conversation to hear, kind of behind the scenes, everything that goes into independent film production, from the production side. And our special film that we showcased was Allison Nighthawk, which was a narrative short told entirely through interpretive dance, which is a really unique film that I believe it's available online if you want to check it out. Devin Tao made that film, and actually Devin was the winner of our Best Northern Feature at this year's Klamath Independent Film Festival for his film Who's on Top? LGBTQ Summit Mount Hood, which was narrated by George Takei. In June, I taught a week-long film camp at Oregon Tech that largely focused on drone work. I'm a commercial pilot, not just for aerial drones, but also submersibles. I have a submarine. So OIT students got to fly and pilot a submarine. and learn all about filmmaking. And then our featured guest that month was Taylor Morden, who is a film director now based in Eugene. He just moved from Bend to Eugene. We've shown several of Taylor's films at the film festival. We showed in 2019 his film Pick It Up Ska in the 90s, which is a fantastic documentary. Again, if you're a fan of 90s alt music and you love Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and Real Big Fish and ska music, I can't praise that film enough. It's such a great documentary. Last year and earlier this year, so last year we were the second place to show his film, The Last Blockbuster, which is all about the very last Blockbuster video store in existence in Bend, Oregon. Shortly after we showed it at our festival, that film got picked up by Netflix and became world famous. And now that Last Blockbuster is a huge tourist landmark, in large part thanks to his film. And just recently, within the last week or two, it was announced that a television show is now in development centered around the Last Blockbuster store. They did not talk to Taylor about producing it. He found out when it was announced publicly, which is kind of surprising, but still pretty cool that a local filmmaker has had that much of an impact, where now they're going to be making a TV show largely because of his documentary. In July, we taught our second annual youth film camp. That's some of the kids outside of the Ross Raglan in that lower photo. Week-long, very intense camp. Kids came in, maybe they'd shot some things with their cell phone, but really knowing nothing about filmmaking. And every day we would go, it was a crash course of everything you need to know about filmmaking in a week's time. And we would end each day with special guests from the film industry. So for example, my buddy Patrick Casey, who wrote the Sonic the Hedgehog film, joined us on day one to talk about storytelling and screenwriting. And so we helped these kids develop their own scripts. We worked on a group project together. And then for a month, they were sent off and loaned equipment to go make their very first film. And we showcased all of those films at a special event in August. So that's what that lower photo is. That same month, that upper photo is the crew from the film that made its world premiere today, filming at the Klamath County Museum. So that is the investigatory crew getting filmed by an LA film crew in the records room on the second level of Klamath County Museum. And so that scene, if you go sign up for Discovery Plus and check out the Great Balloon Bomb Invasion, you can see that scene that they shot that I snapped with my phone. It was also the first Third Thursday, so people could stop by our booth and play some virtual reality and see our trailer for that year's film festival. And our guest that month was Eric Nicolaisen, who is a former University of Oregon football player turned actor in LA. We had a lot of fun with Eric, very upbeat and energetic guy, talking about some of the commercial work that he's done. He's most famous for being in a Super Bowl commercial a couple of years ago, where he's a guy from Toronto, but he's talking with a Jamaican accent the entire time in an office. It's a Volkswagen ad. It's on YouTube. It's very funny. Check it out if you get a chance. In August, Klamath Film hosted an Awake at 8 event at the Ross Raglan. We also had our student film showcase, where the films that were made from our film camp, we held a free showcase of all of the student films, and one of them was picked by a jury as our winner. They received a $100 cash prize, and their film was automatically included in the Klamath Independent Film Festival. That same month, we had another film shoot in Klamath, a short film called The Private Dance. Those are the photos down below me here. The one directly below my chin, the lovely lady there in blue is Kat Clark, who is one of our Klamath Film members, and she was an actor in that film. They're shooting that scene at the Herald and News offices. And then afterwards, we came back a couple of weeks later, and the crew closed down Main Street and shot in the middle of the night over by Sugarman's Corner. So that's what that other photo is. That film has not yet debuted, but it is now on IMDb. As soon as I know when, who knows, maybe we'll show it at next year's film festival. And our guest that month was Stephen Moore, who is a music composer for Netflix. So we got to talk about the importance of music and filmmaking. And then I want to show, and it's only about a minute long, I want to show the film that was our winning film from our student film showcase. Some of you may have seen this already. It was made by a very young kid named Jonas Southwell, who came into our film camp with zero film experience, but loved movies. And he along with, we had 15 students total in the camp. Most of them ended up making films. He shot a film with his whole family at their house, and we thought that it turned out just fantastic. And so he was our winner, and we got to showcase his film. Not only he got his film shown twice on the Raglan big screen. So here is, after a week of going through our film camp, Jonas Southwell's film called Monday. So I hope everybody enjoys this.
Really, Dad?
So that film was made by Jonas Southwell, a middle school student who had never made a film before. He spent a week with us, very intense week at the Ross Raglan, learning everything about cameras and audio and lighting and storytelling and editing, and spent about a month working on that film. And we just thought that he did a fantastic job on his film. So proud of all of the kids that were a part of the camp, but his film really stood out amongst the group as being our winner. So that leads us into September, and wow, what a September we had. Mid-September is when we always hold the Klamath Independent Film Festival. And for our 9th festival, we showed 37 films, most we've ever shown. Most of our filmmakers were in attendance, which was fantastic considering, COVID is still a thing. Across 3 days, we had all of our awards for the second year in a row made by the Southern Cascade Woodcrafters Guild, and they make all of the awards custom to each winning film. So it's not like just everyone gets a plaque, but their award is a character from their film or something that's specific to it, which really makes us stand out. To my knowledge, no other film festival in the country does that. So the filmmakers love it. Everyone had just a fantastic time. So there's some shots of some of the Q&As and some of our filmmakers that traveled to be a part of our 3-day Made in Oregon Film Festival extravaganza. It was kind of mixed emotions though, because one of our founding members passed away actually during our festival. David Reed is one of the founding members, former board member. He'd been a part of everything. Anyone who's come to our meetings before knew David. He was always there. And he always volunteered for everything. And I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. And I had him slotted to work extensively throughout the film festival. And so we were shorthanded the entire festival. I found out during our street fair opening night before we showed our first film that David had just passed away the day before. So we did dedicate our award ceremony to him. But in case you're wondering, the reason why you haven't seen David the last couple of months is we lost him earlier this year, and he was a really integral part of our organization. In October, we welcomed Mikey Navarro as our guest. Mikey's kind of one of a kind. He is the Oregon Duck mascot. He's also an actor. If anyone has seen the film on Netflix, the film Mascots, He worked extensively on that. He also works with the Golden State Warriors. He's based down in the Bay Area now. He does a ton of stuff with Bleacher Report and kind of a social media maven. So we had a very fun conversation with him about not only acting, but what it's like to act in a giant duck costume or other mascot costumes. And so we got to talk about mascot work and what all of that entails. Last month, our guest was Jesse Blanchard. Jesse is a filmmaker based up in Portland who has spent the last 7 years making an all puppet horror / comedy film called Frank and Zed. And we are determined to show Frank and Zed in Klamath at some point. It was supposed to show at the 2020 Klamath Independent Film Festival. It was not able to do so. We had such a fun time last month. At least I had fun. I hope everyone else did too, talking about puppets, making puppets, what it's like to try to get a puppet to actually act correctly on camera. How do you direct 15 people with their arms up doing multiple puppets in a single scene at once? Super fun conversation with Jesse. I thought it was one of our more entertaining Q&As that we have had. We also had the world premiere of one of the films that was shot this year in Klamath called When the Water Stopped. That is available to stream on Al Jazeera America. It's all about the ongoing water issues between tribes and irrigators here in the Klamath Basin. So that debuted in November. And that leads us to December, where today, originally the working title was Fugo, and then they changed it to The Great Balloon Bomb Invasion. Made its debut today. Hooray. So 5 films we have had shot in Klamath this year. The one that we have not had a debut of yet is This Is Their Land, which will come out sometime spring of next year. It's going to make the rounds of festivals. And so I anticipate we will probably incorporate that into the 2022 Klamath Independent Film Festival. That is our year in review. Yay, awesome. We had a fantastic year. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Before I move on to upcoming plans, anyone want to chime in about some of the stuff that we did in 2021 or experiences or favorite things that we got to do? Or Joyce, I saw that you perked up when I mentioned Jesse Blanchard and puppetry. So you're muted, Joyce. Joyce, you are muted. You are still muted. You are still muted, Joyce.
Unmute.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
Okay.
it seemed like you had something to say either about Jesse or
I just
puppetry
loved
or-
his magnetic personality, and it was really a joy to hear his entire story, which of course it is with all the guest speakers. I'm just thrilled to actually have this chance to, know the story behind what we're seeing on screen. And it's amazing to me because I don't have the film background that most of you have. I'm, just a photographer, but I find it very interesting. And it's to get to know the person behind them is the main thing for me. And I just really, really enjoyed meeting him as well as the others that you've had on. So thank you.
Well, each month, probably in 2022, we won't have a featured guest every single month because it's been brought up that we want to maybe focus more on like networking aspects and upcoming things too. But 2021, we had actors, we had directors, we had producers, we had someone who's a professional mascot, we had puppeteers. So every month we try to bring in someone with a different, background, and we'll continue to try to do that. In fact, the Fugo film here, or The Great Balloon Bomb Invasion, I'm talking to Stu Chait, who directed that, about possibly, he might be our January or February guest if schedules work out. So we'll continue to try to bring in different people from the film industry with great stories to share, to come in and talk to us about filmmaking in general and any sort of projects going on. So that was our 2021. I thought it was a great year for our organization, really an unprecedented year, which is saying something considering the bigger picture of COVID and everyone's restricting what they can do. And this year we accomplished, I think, more than we've ever done before.
Very good.
So onward and upward with that. As for next year, 2022, not everything is set in stone yet. It'll be the 10th annual Klamath Independent Film Festival. So we want to do something big for KIF. But here's some of the things we're talking about doing. We will do our annual youth film camp in the summer. So middle school and high school kids, it's free to attend. We get grants that makes it so that it's free for kids. So if you know local Klamath kids that have even a vague interest in film and just want to get introduced to it, this is a great opportunity for that. We will show Oscar nominated short films sometime in March, TBD, when exactly, but we always do that. I am determined that we will do a Frank and Zed screening with Jesse in-house, and he will bring puppets down. He is committed to that. It's just a matter of finding when. There is a Friday the 13th in middle of May, or we might save that maybe for Halloween and Comic-Con. We'll see how it all plays out. In August, we will showcase the films that are made from our film camp. And in September, we will do our annual film festival. At some point, this is their land that was shot here. We will find a way to show that. And as I mentioned earlier, we're coming up soon on the 100th anniversary of a film that was shot the silent film era here in Klamath, one of the Rin Tin Tin films. And so we're talking about possibly doing that, as well as the one that's just below me here, Ed's Co-Ed. Fascinating story behind this film. It is the very first student film ever made in history. It was made in 1928 by University of Oregon students. And it was lost for about 50 years and then found in the back of a theater. And one of the University of Oregon professors wrote a music score for it. And so we have been in ongoing talks with the Klamath Orchestra about doing a special event where we explain the history behind this film. Cecil B. DeMille actually helped out with the production of it. And it was shot over several months, written by University of Oregon students, performed by University of Oregon students, shot by University of Oregon students. You would think maybe USC, NYU, or some school in France would be the first to make a student film, but no, University of Oregon were the first ones. And the main character comes from Klamath and goes to school in Eugene. It's also an incredible time capsule of college life in the 1920s. So that film, we're talking about at some point doing a screening, doing a quick little lecture about the story behind the film, and having live orchestration follow the film. So we would have a live orchestra play with the film at the Ross Ragland. Still in the works, but that's something we've been talking about extensively, and hopefully we can get that together. So yeah, that's our at least preliminary plans for 2022. We are coming up on 8 o'clock soon here. I do have, if people want, queued up the film Matterhorn, which was shot in Klamath in April. One of the two films that was shot that last week of April. We world premiered it at the Klamath Independent Film Festival. It's about 10 minutes long. So we could watch that to close out our meeting today if we want to, or if there's other things that we haven't discussed yet that people want to talk about. This is an open forum. I feel like I've been hogging things. So if there's something that people want to talk about, or projects or possible collaborations, the floor is yours to delve into it. So it does help if everyone unmutes.
Let's watch the Matterhorn.
Yeah, I thought that since not everyone got to attend the film festival, that you may want to see a film that was shot in Klamath this year. So anyone else have something that they want to chime in with? Evan, Jason, Wayne, Art. I see John joined us. Hi, John.
Yeah, finally made it. Been busy the last few months, but thanks again for everything you're doing for us.
Well, thank you, John. We didn't have a featured guest tonight. We thought we'd do a review of our year and talk about some of the casting calls and jobs that are currently up and look ahead at 2022. So, and I will post the recording if you want to go check out what you missed earlier.
Okay, thanks. No, I mean, as far as future stuff, I mean, I got in the back of my mind to do something in a cyberpunk theme, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that people have projects in the works. Cord has a project. Evan is in early stages of making his film. Wayne's always got something in the works. Jeffrey's, are you at script level, Jeffrey, or is that still in the works? or Jeff may have stepped away. And then Riley, man, I know
I'm
Nick,
here, sorry.
I know Nick has you running around constantly filming either weddings or commercials or something. It seems like every time I turn around, you guys are pumping out another project. So
Yeah, lots of stuff.
is there anything that, so Klamath Film, the recreation, the 100-year photo for and video for Chamber of Commerce, we helped out with a jib. So one of the items that we have on loan to any of our active members is an 8-foot camera jib. So I don't know if Riley, you were manning that or if it was Nick or Tanner, but we helped out a little bit with that recreation. They shot a scene of Klamath Chamber of Commerce members recreating a photo from 1921. And it's going to incorporate into their 100th annual gala that's coming up in January. Court was a part of that photo op, so thanks Court for repping Klamath Film at that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was the only one who wore a suit and tie.
Yes, I did. I noticed that right away. You showed up looking very dapper, and everyone else was like t-shirt or coat. But I appreciate you going highbrow with repping Klamath Film. So that's great.
Kurt, did I miss a question from you?
Well, I was just going around some of the various projects. So John said that he has an early project that he may be working on. Riley's always working on commercial stuff. Bowen's always looking for acting gigs. Same with Wayne. Evan has a film project or at least an idea he's working on. Court is actively working on a film. And you said that are you still in the writing stages of your next film?
Oh, I finished the script. In fact, it's been through festivals and stuff, and we got finalists with Nashville and semi-finalists with Los Angeles International Screenplay Awards and a few other ones. But yeah, it's in pre-production.
So what's it about? I mean, what's the general theme of it?
Well, it's a thriller, but a bit more artistically done than one would immediately think when you hear that, because thriller with independent film is usually kind of B movie stuff. But I love neo noir and just film noir and old, just more artistic thrillers and stuff. It's essentially about an escaped convict, a woman who's 40 years old and doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison. She gets out, and that's how the movie starts. It starts with her just, in the woods and trying to figure it out. And in order to get a nest egg, she creates a hoax and tries to scam some tinfoil hats. But they turn out to be nuclear physicists and nuclear engineers, so they're not quite the small town dummies that she takes them for.
Are you planning to film that here locally, or?
Yeah, for sure. And I Jonathan Pryce is considering it right now.
Okay.
Just an actor I adore.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone knows who he is. He was in Glengarry Glen Ross and Brazil, of course, Terry Gilliam's Brazil. He was just nominated for the Two Popes with Anthony Hopkins. And that would be great because, my first film was kind of a B movie, or turned into a B movie, sort of by design, because it was, I had to do a horror film with exploitation just to get distributed. But so it's hard, even though I had to do that to get to film too, it's still hard to kind of convince everyone that's getting involved that, look, I'm not making a B movie here. I don't want to get stuck as that kind of filmmaker. But we'll see. Head in Nashville wants to bring it to A24, which is the dream company. I really think that they're the best in the business right now. They just produced Joel Cohen's Tragedy of Macbeth. Just to give you an example of, how cool they are. But I'm fully expecting and have to expect worst case scenario that what's going to happen is everyone's just going to pass, and I'll end up producing it myself and just making it super cheap. But
Well,
my
I
first
guess
film,
just a question is like, how would you like it to play out? What's your
yeah, that's a very good question, because there's obviously the desire to be legit is always there. I mean, it's conditioned into all of us, isn't it? The idea to do something with actors you love and a big company, but I don't want to lose creative control on this. And I know how to produce now. I can make it on the cheap, and people will think it was made for millions of bucks. And I want to take it through the festivals. And so, I mean, I have to put food on the table. So if A24 wants to do it, and I can work with some awesome celebrities, obviously that's a good thing. But in my heart of hearts, and if I'm being honest, and I probably wouldn't even say this to my wife, I want to do it myself. I want to do it the right way. I want to, I want to make a real film. I just don't want it to get distilled down into something that is safe or vanilla, or just what I'm seeing a little too much of in the marketplace right now.
Okay.
And again, I might fail and make a fool of myself, but I feel like this is sort of my last chance to do this kind of thing before I, just work solely professionally, if that makes sense.
Well, if there's anything that we can do to help out or assist, as a member, our services are here to help you. So in the pre-production process or whatever we research or location scouting or whatever you may need, if there's something that we can do to help, reach out and let us know, and we'll do our best.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've found I'm already talking to a lot of people about locations here, and I'm finding Klamath to be so accommodating. I'm used to the permit process in LA, which is a nightmare. I remember we shot at a house in Woodland Hills, and we had to talk to, I think it was a 3-mile radius, if I remember correctly. Every single door we had to get them to sign something, and I mean it was so intense. Even though we weren't making any noise in the house, everyone had to know, and that's just something that's easy to articulate in a forum like this, but all the other kind of red tape that you come up against is really quite something. But here it's again, it's that thing where the response is more, oh, you're making a film. That's well, let us know what we can do. It's amazing.
It's not to the point of jadedness like LA, where it seems like every street corner has been shot and people are just tired of having their cars towed. Here, people are genuinely excited about it. I've done some location scouting for some major feature films that are looking to come here. And they were looking specifically for some old style houses. So some of those old houses on High or out on Riverside fit really well. And so I talked to the owners. It's kind of interesting, show up and knock on a random person's door with my camera in hand and say, hi, can I come in and photograph your bedroom and bathroom and basement? And normally people would be like, who are you, you creepy person, get away from me. But show them my business card, and 2 minutes later, I'm in their house. They're walking me through everything, snapping photos of, and some people still call me every other month or so and say, do you have any updates on that film? I'd love to have them come film in my house and have them spend 3 weeks in my house, and we'll get a hotel, and they can do it, whatever. They're just genuinely excited that a film could be shot here. So
that's been my experience here too. I live at the Running Y, and there's a whole sort of dog community here. So whenever I'm out walking my dog, whenever I run into this community of people, they're always asking, hey, how's things going with the film? What's going on? Tell us the latest and greatest. I mean, it's the amount of support that you experience here. It's really night and day.
Terrific.
LA.
Well,
you know what?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna.
Well, I was just going to say it's 7:56. Normally we wrap up at 8, but we have a 10-minute film that some people said they want to watch. If people don't want to watch it, they can clock out. And appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. I hope that this meeting was informative and entertaining. I do like that anytime that we have new people, and we have 3 people on this call who have never been in a meeting before, that they get an opportunity to speak or provide their thoughts. So if Evan, Jason, or Riley, if there's anything you want to chime in about, and hopefully we'll get to see you at another meeting again. Hopefully this was fruitful for you and piqued your interest, and this is something that you want to continue being a part of. So Riley, Jason, or Evan, being our newbies with Klamath Film, if there's anything that, well, actually, Evan, I know you've attended meetings in the past. So if Jason or Riley, if there's anything that you'd like to chime in about, floor is yours.
I'll just say it's been awesome just listening to this conversation and seeing what you guys have done and contributed to over the last year, and of course the years prior to that. So I'm just excited, and I like I'm one of those people who's like, mind's always going, like it's like a trigger. So it's going in a lot of different places to thinking about ways to be involved and programs to invest in, and I just think it's really exciting. So thanks for allowing me to attend something like this.
Yeah, these meetings are open to the public, and they're free. We do ask that if you like what we do, and if you come to a few meetings, that you become a member. Membership is just $25 a year. And with membership, you get access to our massive collection of professional film equipment. We have these meetings, you get ticket discounts to all of our events. So if you want to be a member, if you like what we do, that's a great way to support the cause. So Riley, I'm sure we'll be seeing your work in the next couple of days here, because Nick seems to be putting out a new video just about it once a week for some new business. Is any projects upcoming that you want to announce, or do we have to wait for the official premiere from Nick?
I'm not really sure what he has coming up soon, but we are working on stuff.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I know Art, you didn't get a chance to talk much, and John, you're running late, but I want to show the film Matterhorn. So if you want to stick around and check it out, I'll end the meeting after the film ends. So formal goodbyes, but also let me explain the film Matterhorn a little bit. So this film was shot by Martin Hillegas, who grew up in Ashland, attended SOU, and then went down to LA and went to the USC Film School. He used to spend his summers working out at Crater Lake. And so his family still has a cabin out at Lake of the Woods, and he comes up here often. He loves this area. He shot multiple films in the area, and he's been in development for about a year now on his first feature film, which he plans to shoot here. So we've been talking about that off and on. They've come up and done location scouting. They love a location right over by Pelican Point, a little bit south of Crater Lake, and a few other places that we've found for them. The film's called Dark Woods, though that's a working title. They've been talking to Frances McDermott about possibly starring in it, but that's still kind of up in the air. So it's a film about a Crater Lake park ranger who kind of goes vigilante after a kid gets kidnapped. And so they want to film that here locally. But this film that we're about to see, Marty basically developed the story because he loved our film festival and he loved what we do. He specifically made this to want to shoot it in Klamath because of our organization. So he came up in April with his dad, plays a role in it. A couple of his buddies from LA are the 2 main actors. And we lined up locations for him at a local gas station over on Oregon Avenue, David's Diner, Everybody's Vintage, a couple other locations that you may or may not recognize. Marty has a certain style. He loves shooting thrillers. Jeffrey, I think his films are kind of right up your alley, not necessarily action films, but psychological thrills. So this film, he finished editing a couple of days before our film festival. And so we had a working rough cut, and we made the world premiere at this year's Klamath Independent Film Festival. So the film is called Matterhorn. It's about 10 minutes long. And hopefully we will see all of you at our meeting in January. which will be once again, the first Thursday. We'll do it again via Zoom because it's cold outside and it's going to be cold for a couple months. And then I'll let everyone know when we go back to doing in-person meetups. So thank you everybody for being here. If you have any questions, any issues, any problems, if there's anything that Klamath Film can help out with, please don't hesitate to reach out. And hopefully we will see you at future meetings and future events. Any final questions or final thoughts before I start Matterhorn? No? Okay. Well then, thank you everybody and enjoy the film Matterhorn, and hopefully we will see you in January.
We should get a cup of coffee after this. Sounds good. I'm gonna go see if I can find something for mom and dad at this gift shop over there. You haven't gotten them anything yet, Vern? We're already halfway home. I know, Bob. Here, take my card.
My mic's muted right now. It's okay.
Your mic's not muted, Kurt. Oh, you muted the sound to the film.
It's up in the rearview mirror. I don't think this. All right, we'll get you out of the car, but Vern. Hi. Can I help you? We paid for our coffee. Okay. What the hell was that all about? I don't know. I guess that old man tried to dine and dash or something. What the hell would steal from that guy? Can we just go? I would have pissed at the diner, but that man in the mask just freaked me out. No, just what's that?
Just grabbing my clothes.
You're so dumb, Vern. Get in the car.
So these ice storms, they come every so many years, and this is one that we remember. Which weather advisory until maybe tomorrow. This is a section of because of some lights. Yeah, this is what we start.
Make sure he won't be following us. No. Vernon, you took the money. You started this whole shit. Now you need to finish it. Take the knife and finish it, or he's gonna follow us.
There you go, Matterhorn. So hope everybody enjoyed that. Thank you everyone for joining us for our December meeting, and we'll see you in January.
And then just to double check, the member meeting for board members, that's the third Tuesday of every month?
Yeah, our board of directors meetings are third Tuesday. In January, though, it's a little bit different. We'll have a retreat thing on a Saturday because we have to map out like all of 2022's plans and goals
Yeah.
and all that. So,
Okay.
cool.
See you, Kurt.